This video is about the money. It's about how money comes into the district, gets distributed, and ultimately makes its way into our paychecks. Here we're focusing on answering two key questions central to understanding how our salary and benefits as faculty in the Los Rios district are paid. Those questions are, where does the faculty portion of district money come from? And how is that money spent? In the Los Rios district, the method of allocating financial resources, money, is governed by a shared revenue agreement, or what is referred to simply as the bucket. This concept starts from the premise that each year the state budget provides a bucket of money to the community college system, which is then apportioned to each college district, including Los Rios. So every year, the big Los Rios bucket fills up with new money from the state budget. That's where the revenue sharing agreement kicks in. Any increases in the state budget go into the big bucket and are ladled according to a predetermined formula into the smaller buckets of administration and faculty and staff bargaining units. Each unit then spends its bucket based on its own negotiated priorities. This video will provide a very basic explanation of how this bucket system works in practice, and specifically how LRCFT determines its spending priorities. The mechanics of the bucket system are laid out in Appendix A of LRCFT's collective bargaining agreement with the Los Rios district, otherwise known as the contract. It starts with the major revenue streams that flow into the big Los Rios bucket. The big streams are, first, base funding. That is the Los Rios share of the community college share of Proposition 98, funded by state general apportionment, property taxes, and the Education Protection Act, as well as student enrollment fees. The base funding amount is the revenue level recognized in the prior fiscal year. Any new or increased money above the base generally comes from two places: cost of living adjustments, or COLA, and growth funds, which are dependent upon final adoption of the state budget and whether or not those funds actually arrive. These are the three major revenue streams that go into the big bucket. To this are added a few minor streams like the state lottery funds, state block grants, and others. From this big bucket of money, 20% is automatically earmarked every year as program development funds, or PDF. That is, money used to pay for the operations of the district, including utilities, insurance, property taxes, higher administration positions, and so on. The remaining 80% of the big bucket is dedicated to personnel, including faculty, staff, and management. This 80% of district money is then distributed to each of the bargaining and administrative units based on the proportionate share of each unit's salary and benefit costs relative to the total. The taps are opened on the big bucket, and the money flows to the smaller buckets of the units in agreed upon percentages. These percentages are determined annually and may fluctuate slightly, but overall they've remained generally stable and consistent over the years. Since the establishment of this system in the 1980s, faculty has received the lion's share of the money, which has historically been around 65%. So there you have the faculty bucket. LRCFT, as exclusive representative for the faculty bargaining unit in the Los Rios district, then spends the money in its bucket throughout the year according to a negotiated set of priorities, which we'll go over now. LRCFT's spending priorities are governed by the contract, and the current process and priorities are described in Appendix A2. So here we have LRCFT's bucket of money. Obviously, the first spending priority is to cover all faculty increases up the steps and classes of the salary schedule. Typically, this is a roughly 4% increase every year. Next after that comes statutory roll-ups, medical, STIRS, etc., followed by any health and welfare cost increases. After that, money flows to stipend adjustments for department chairs, for example. Then after other miscellaneous faculty-related costs, the contract prioritizes trigger items, items that are triggered when there is a 3% increase in revenues. At this point, the so-called extra money then flows in this order currently, starting with expansion of adjunct office hours, followed by improvement of the lab to lecture ratio from where it's currently at 0.75 to 1 to 0.8 to 1, and third, adjustment of the office hour rate to match the actual placement on the salary schedule. And it's very important to realize that all of these things happen before any permanent adjustments are made to the salary schedule. And this doesn't happen until the end of the fiscal year in July. At this point in July, when the true figure of the closing year's budget is finally known, for sure, faculty receive retroactive pay, usually distributed in August. So that's the bucket system. Now we as faculty can play an active role in bucket flows at two levels where it matters the most: by becoming engaged in state legislation, where the money begins, and by participating in the contract negotiation process, where our spending priorities are determined. For questions about this or any other aspects of the contract, or to find out how you can become more involved in your faculty union at the state or the district level, contact any of your LRCFT representatives by visiting lrcft.org and clicking on About Us.